we're going to take a look at the 11.15 by 58 rim cartridge. It's the caliber that goes in the 1867 werndl single shot rifle, and it also goes in the Austrian Mannlicher model of 1886. It's very similar to the round that goes into the 7184 Mauser. The case in the chamber is a bit different, but I think the bullet diameters are the same. And when you're working with these old black powder guns, a good way to get an idea on how to replicate the ammo is if you get your hands on some original rounds and kind of take them apart and see how they were loaded. I could never get enough of the 43 Mauser or find any original cartridges, which those rifles are more common, a lot more people shoot them. These Austrian guns are a little bit, I can't say rare, but they're not used as widely as the Mausers are. A lot of the Mausers, a lot of people shoot them. So what I did is I purchased some original ammo. The ammunition's made, I believe, in 1887 is the head stamp on it. And I took one apart to see what is in the original ammunition. As you can see on the original, the lubricant, it's like a wax that coats the top of the bullet, and it's a paper patch bullet. And I'm getting about 437 thousandths in diameter on the paper patched end of the bullet here. That's a kind of a ballpark figure. So now we pull the bullet out, and it's a paper patch bullet. Paper patch didn't survive the thing, and the lube had it stuck into the case and kind of tore apart. But it's just a solid hunk of lead, swaged, and with a paper patch on it. That's the bullet. Now in the case, underneath that, packed in a lubricant, I found that there were some real thin, paper wad on top, about 20 thousandths thick, just a little cardboard wad. And it got destroyed in being removed, but underneath it was about an 1/8 inch thick hunk. That's a chunk of it there. It's about an 1/8 inch of it, from the brown substance. It looks like a beeswax. It's a natural wax. And I think this bullet was coated in all of this. And then on the very bottom was also another thin paper wad. So there was like a sandwich. Try to stack it up here. Paper wad, wax, paper wad about yay thick, about an 1/8 inch thick. So that was underneath the base of the bullet, and it kind of like sealed it. It sealed the cartridge itself. Probably that's how they also sealed the bullet or the ammunition to protect it. Now inside was 77 grains by weight on the scale. You know, we're supposed to do black powder by volume, but what was in a cartridge was 77 grains of powder. And it was quite interesting when I took the powder out. The powder kind of looks like, I have it for comparison here. There's 1F powder and 2F. It's kind of smaller than the 1F, but slightly larger than a 2F, which is kind of unique. And also inside, when I dumped it all out and everything, I found that there was a finer powder, like almost a dust in there. When you spread it out or pour it, you see there's like a real fine dust-like powder in there. So that kind of leads me to believe it was a duplex load. And what a duplex load is what they would do is fill the case at the bottom with a small charge of very fine powder, then put the heavier, coarser powder on top. And they probably compressed this and sealed it with the wax, because it kind of appeared that the wax ran down a little, maybe over 100 years, could have melted a little or been exposed to heat. But I noticed that there was a lot of fine powder in there, so that fine powder, when the primer goes off, ignites faster and makes the coarser grain powder burn a lot better, more efficiently. Duplex loads were used in the old days, but they're kind of dangerous because you get spikes in your pressure and that, but it appears that's how they loaded that. And surprisingly enough, it was 77 grains of powder. One thing I didn't do, and we can do that now, is I didn't check the bullet weight. I forgot to do that. And I'll do that right now. And it's a lead bullet. It's approximately 364 grains in weight. So when I go to reload this, I'll probably use a 1.5F powder like I did with my Mauser, and keep the bullet weight as close as I can. And I might start off with 75 grains and then try to work my way up to 77. I really don't like the duplex idea. There's no way to regulate the pressure, it's just somebody's word. But I was interested also, or what's amazed me too, is there is people who use this technique of this huge 1/8-inch thick wax cookie. And I've seen a guy in France loading for the Gras rifle. He takes, on a clean table, bolts down some pieces of metal with wax paper, and then he fills with molten wax in this little frame and makes a layer, a pretty good thick layer of it's a brown color, so it's a beeswax style lubricant. And what he did is he cut a case off probably after it was sized, and he uses this to cut through the wax and make little plugs of wax. And I think he puts wax paper on both sides of the hot wax so it sticks there. And he makes little grease cookies like that, or lubricating cookies. But I was surprised to find that 1/8-inch thick wax lubricant underneath the bullet on these original rounds. That's the way they made it back in the 1880s. And when I get a hold of the rifle, I'm going to slug the barrel and see what my groove diameter is and how it matches up to this bullet. Any questions, or as I go along, I'll have one where I reload these. I'll have a video where I reload these and shoot these in the rifle.